New Thought Media Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And now, here's Lindsay.
Hey, welcome to PIP, everybody. How are you doing? I'm not holding up coffee today because I decided that I needed to drink more water. So here we go. Practicing infinite possibilities. What does that mean? Well, today we're going to be talking about radical acceptance. Radical acceptance. You mean to accept everything? Yes, I know it's kind of a big one. And last week I kept saying, oh, this is 105 of Buddhism, but today is actually 105 of Buddhism. So I radically accept that I was imperfect last week, and my imperfections are my perfections. They're my uniqueness. Isn't that true for all of us? But before we go there, I wanted to say a big shout out to my mom because yesterday was her birthday and I was trying to see if I had a picture of her. Okay, this is actually my uncle, my father, and my mom. How do you like that? Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. We were at the zoo and this summer together and I took that picture. And that's really what it's about, is my family does practice acceptance and humor and can really laugh at themselves and be silly and play. And that's where that joy you get, that joy that we bring out. So as we've been practicing these basic Buddhist techniques, we're really talking about how to find that peace inside when the world is chaotic, when people are in pain, when we're in pain, right? When we look at the news and we think, oh gosh, well, how can I find joy with all that going on? It starts with you, and it starts inside, and it starts accepting the moment as it is. So that's the direction we're going to dive into, and I'm going to really give you some tools and some understandings of that in this class. So thank you for being here. I want to shout out to my dad and my mom, of course, happy birthday, and Kevin and Wayne. Oh, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Here's Wayne. Hey, Star Sunshine. My dad and my mom. Hello, Lindsay. You know what? I want to say that I know that they had a class right before this class, so I know they made a lot of effort to get here, and I want to thank you so much for being here. So it doesn't matter if you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, recorded, live. Just add comments. I read them. Hit like and share if you think other people need to hear this wisdom, and know that I've been talking about basic Buddhism for this is my 5th class in PIP. So if you want to learn more, you can go back. Now, I asked people to send me hearts. So look at this crazy heart someone sent me. I didn't realize it would do that. Look at that. Is that awesome? It is a snake shaped as a heart. And it's so interesting because snakes are about transformation and about allowing yourself to grow and to drop the skin. If a snake didn't drop its skin and let it go, it wouldn't be able to grow and become stronger. And so that's really true about us. Radical acceptance is taking what we're at the present moment, like a snake, and then continuing growing and allowing to drop away which doesn't serve us anymore. All right, let me show you another one someone sent. This is her watch. Look, the 12 is a heart. Isn't that cool? Look down, and there it was. She was having a heart. Thank you so much, Connie, for sending that to me. And Debbie sent me this one. Look at her hands. I love that. She has her heart on her fingers, and I think there's one on her thumb too. So that is awesome. So she's seeing the heart. And then here's my friend. Stacy sent me this one. I think it was something that fell on her plate. Look at that. I love it. So as we see our intentions to see hearts in this world, they pop up everywhere. So keep sending them in and let me keep sharing them. I think that that really shows that when you have an intention to see the good in the world, you can see the good in the world. All right, radical acceptance. First of all, I want to have a huge shout out to one of my favorite gurus, who is Tara Brach. She is awesome. She is a psychologist and she's a Dharma Buddhist meditation teacher. She has many books, and one of them is called Radical Acceptance. So if you like what we're talking about today in this class and it's ringing true and you want to dive in deeper, I highly recommend to read this book. Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. And you can get it used. You can get it on Amazon. It's also in Audible, so you can hear it if you were driving. It's really good. 2 thumbs up. So, okay. So what is radical acceptance? Radical acceptance is the willingness to experience what is without judgment. This means accepting our thoughts, our feelings, our body sensations, even when we don't like them. And actually, radical acceptance is really about accepting the ones we don't like, because the ones we like, we accept. Right? If I'm happy, I don't have to have radical acceptance about being happy. If I'm expressing joy, if I'm feeling great, I don't think, oh, I want to accept this moment. You accept it. You embrace this moment. But radical acceptance is being able to embrace the discomfort and to be willing to really be with what is. So you could say the first part, as you read the first sentence in this, radical acceptance is the willingness to experience what is without judgment. To me, that is also the definition of mindfulness. Mindfulness, being aware of the present moment, being aware of what's going on in the present moment, okay, without judgment, to accept it as it is. So the Buddha, in one of his talks, just stood up and held a lotus flower, and then people became enlightened like that. Now, I'm not quite sure how that all happened, but I think that I could do this for you guys. I am holding up this rose. Look how beautiful it is, right? See this beautiful one right there? And then this one that's totally full. And you can't smell it, but take my word, it smells terrific. Now, if I hold this up and I say, this is radical acceptance, how could this rose be radical acceptance? What's occurring when you think of a rose? What parts of a rose? Of course, there's great beauty and color in it, the magic of life, the delicacy, but the strength. But what does it also have? Well, in this, it has a new rose that's transforming, and it has an older rose that is dying, right? Isn't that impermanence? Radical acceptance is if you are going to have a new rose, as it blossoms, it brings great joy. But the acceptance that it will grow old is part of the process. What else did you guys think about when you thought about radical acceptance and looking at the rose? What could this teach you? Just this one thing teach you? How about the thorns? Radical acceptance, I'm going to show you the thorns, that you have to realize that as beautiful and lovely and magnificent that roses are, they have the other side of it, the yin and the yang. They have thorns, and that you have to treat them with delicacy. I don't say that I'm not going to ever enjoy a rose because it has thorns. I say, oh, I accept the thorns and I treat them with awareness. And if I grab the rose very quick and I get pricked by the thorns, who did the pricking? Did the thorns prick me, or did I lean into the thorns? I accept that the thorns are there. And if I lean in and I grab and I get pricked, I don't blame the thorns. I blame that I'm not being mindful in the present moment, accepting what is, and then reacting to what is. So radical acceptance is the understanding that life is filled with beauty, but it also has impermanence, and it also has thorns. It has it all. And the thorns aren't bad. They're part of the rose. I don't curse the thorns. Without the thorns, I wouldn't have the rose. It's kind of a little bit like, okay, it's not like the Buddha holding up the flower and people becoming enlightened. But doesn't it just totally get it when you go, radical acceptance is, I want to accept this rose. Thanks so much for the heart. I appreciate it. I want to accept this rose, but I have to accept all of this rose. This is what, there's books and books about radical acceptance, and it really can be summed up in this flower. Let me take this flower a little bit further in radical acceptance. I cut off two more things to show you guys. This is the bud. This is one that hasn't opened up yet, right? It hasn't had the time. This rose, this bud hasn't had the time. I can't curse this bud. I can't believe that this did not open up for me. I want it to be a certain way. Radical acceptance is saying things happen in their own time. And if I have things in my life that are buds that aren't developed, I don't curse the bud. I develop the bud. I develop it. It is the seeds inside of me of growing. Radical acceptance is saying that there's stages in everything. And you might not like the stages, but don't curse them. If you don't like them, that's because it's based on your expectations, not because of the reality. The reality is that the rose starts as a bud, goes into the blossom, and then, as you can see in this one, starts to wilt and die. Which part is more beautiful? Maybe all of them. That's acceptance. Acceptance that life is forever changing. I have one more. Look at this one. This one is where all the petals have dropped off. Is this rose now ugly? Think of the potential in this rose. Think about it. There's so much potential. You say, but Lindsay, it's already gone. It's lost all its leaves. Yes, but it is the seeds of the rose for the next garden. Did this rose really end up being not a miracle or not beautiful? The amount of potential in the one filled with the seeds ready to make this world a beautiful place is really what this whole rose is trying to do. Trying to spread goodness and love and more light, nature in its cycle. So radical acceptance is understanding and accepting where you're at this moment, and embracing it, and not being surprised there's thorns, not being surprised that there's impermanence, not being surprised that what's going on in this world isn't what you want. It is what it is. So let me go. I got some good notes here for you guys. Radical acceptance is the opposite of resistance. When we resist what is, we suffer. Attachment and desire causes suffering. It's a very basic Buddhist understanding that attachment and desire causes suffering, because you're trying to make things the way you want them to be. And radical acceptance says, don't be attached to what you want them to be, or don't desire them to what you want it to be. Accept what it is. Now, it does not mean that you don't have goals. That's not what I'm saying. But we're talking about this concept of desire, of attachment that's impermanent. I want it to stay the same. Wishing it was like yesterday, right? Wishing like it was yesterday. Do you curse the rose that the petals are falling off? Look at it. They're falling off for me even holding them. Do I curse the petals because they're dropping off? No, I celebrate the beauty of the rose. And even if you look at these petals dropping off. I didn't expect that to happen. But how beautiful and tender the inside is. It's transforming. I don't say I curse it because it's not a bud. I love it because it is what it is. A lot of times in New Thought, they say what resists persists, because what you put out there keeps coming back. So what you're thinking about keeps coming back. And if you have resistance, then resistance keeps coming back. But if you have acceptance, awareness and acceptance, then this feeling of peace of saying, okay, I can deal with what's going on. I'm not lost in my brain having my own fantasy. When we accept what is, we can find peace. It doesn't mean you have to like it. Let me get to this one because these are good notes. Here we go. This doesn't mean that you have to like what is happening, but it does mean that we can learn to live with it in a way that is not harmful to ourselves and to others. So when we have radical acceptance, we're having room for compassion. We're having room for kindness. When you're not accepting something that you don't like and you're resisting it and you're pushing against it, it triggers a stress response and we go into a fight, flight, freeze mode. That's the biological thing that happens. When we don't have acceptance of what's going on and we're wishing it to be different and we're attached, we actually activate cortisol in our body. We have this fight, flight, freeze zone, and then you're just like, I can't stand this. This is not the way it's meant to be. That wasn't meant to happen. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed about the environment and whatever, politics and my family and my job and economics. And then you just lose that inner connection of flow from your mind and your heart and your energy. So Tara Brach and other Buddhist teachers and psychologists and psychiatrists and coaches and therapists, they're like, accept the present moment, because when you accept it and you hold it without having that resistance, even if you don't like it, I need to accept that the environment is really screwed up. I need to accept it. I can't sit around and storm around and say deny it or be angry about it. Now you can take, if you get a fight, flight, freeze mode and you get anger, then you can take that, accept that anger, because you can even accept your anger, but then you cultivate it so it doesn't do more harm. This is huge. So it doesn't do more harm. If you are very upset about a significant other who might be addicted to drugs or alcohol or have mental illness, that's a problem. That is. And I deal with those issues a lot in my coaching. But the first step is we have to accept it, so to make sure that we understand that we can hold that pain that we're feeling and it's not going to do more harm to ourselves or to others. And then you can act. This is so powerful. You have to act from a place where love and kindness and compassion grows, not from a place where anger, overwhelmed, frustration, stress is cultivated. And that power to be able to make that shift we're talking about, the first step is awareness. You have to be aware of what you're feeling and then accept how you're feeling and hold it with compassion for yourself and others. It can be done. It builds that happiness, that core happiness. And I don't mean Disneyland happiness. I mean peace, joy. Those are the words I'm trying to say. More a peaceful heart. That's my definition of happiness. So the first step of radical acceptance is to become aware of what you're resisting. This means paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and body sensations. In our society, a lot of times we are not paying attention to our temple. We're paying attention to everybody else's temple. What are their thoughts? We think that we can read their thoughts. What are their feelings? What are they projecting to me? How are they acting? How are they feeling? Are they okay? The first temple we pay attention to is this. This is where our soul, our spirit, our universal, our Buddha nature, our Christ consciousness is. It's in your temple, and it's your responsibility. So you become and learn to be the master of your own thoughts, aware of your feelings as they rise, anger, sadness, grief. It doesn't matter what they are, happiness, joy. Be aware of them and accept them, and then you get to grow from them. You get to learn from them. And body meditation, body scan, meditations with body scans, that's what I'm trying to say, is a wonderful way to get in tune with how does your body feel. Are you having a stiff neck? Is your shoulder hurting? Where is your stress? Is your digestive system not working? How is your temple reacting at this time? And if it's not reacting with smooth and health, then sit back and hold it and accept it and then see why. And keep asking with curiosity, with kindness and curiosity. Keep asking, why? What am I telling myself? That is radical acceptance. Once we're aware of our resistance, we can begin to soften and open our experience. If you're only angry, if you're only pushing against, then the bottom line is you can't get in there. You can't be the detective. You can't bring in the curiosity to figure out what's going on. But when we can accept what's going on, I am feeling really overwhelmed. I don't want to get out of bed today. Accept that. Why? It's okay. Love yourself. Give yourself a hug, right? Say, why are these feelings come? It's okay, with kindness. And then get curious and say, maybe it's because I'm not doing my passion. Maybe I am not expressing my inner thoughts. Maybe I'm feeling wounded from when I was not heard or felt abandoned as a child, and it's being triggered again. Maybe lean into it. Our pain can be a gift. It teaches us about ourselves and our relationships. So that's what I love so much about radical acceptance, is that we don't deny that we have thorns. And we don't curse our thorns. We don't. We accept them. We say, why? What does this mean? What is the uniqueness of this experience? If I'm in pain, that means that my temple is telling me something for me to learn and grow, not for me to suffer. So if you go from thinking I am having pain and therefore I suffer to I am having pain, therefore I have an opportunity to grow, your whole life shifts in perspective. Both are pain, but one is an opportunity, infinite possibility opportunity to do something different. And the other one is suffocating and triggers cortisol and the stress response and can lead to depression. Which one do you choose? Hold the pain and grow from it, not suffocate from it. Let's see, I'm just going to go up to my comments real quick. I have someone who says Islam is the key to acceptance. Beautiful. I believe there's many spiritual paths, and I definitely believe that one is true. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Let me just see what Wayne says here. That's right. Thunder does not grow flowers, but rain does. And sometimes we have thunder and lightning. Don't be fearful. Accept it. It's part of the storm. But the storm brings the water, right? The storm brings the water. That's what I'm talking about. Accept it all. The thunder, the lightning, and don't allow the thorns to trigger fear. Don't allow the thunder to trigger fear, that primitive fear. You can accept that you have fearful thoughts. That's fine. But hold them without it triggering that lower fight, flight, blame, shame, guilt reaction, and get curious with them. I love that, Wayne. Thank you so much for posting that. It cannot pain. So the acceptance of pain can also motivate us to change our lives. So if we're having a lot of pain, and I wrote a whole article about how I had this back pain, and then I went to the hospital and I figured it out, and it really changed my life. And so it was a gift instead of a curse. Another article I recently wrote about those bed bugs and how the bird outside was squawking so loud and I was cursing the bird outside and went to close my window, turned on my light, and in the hotel saw the bed bugs. Well, let me tell you, that pain of that bird keeping me awake wasn't anything to curse. It was my angel. So sometimes the pain or the discomfort or something actually is leading to a powerful catalyst for growth and transformation. Very much like the snake I was talking about shedding its skin. It has to shed its skin. It has to let go of the old. It has to break free. And we do too. We do too. We shed belief systems that don't work for us. Our perfection is already divinely inside of us. We need to wake it up. We need to recognize it. It's not something that isn't there. It is something that's already there, but we got to shed. And sometimes shedding is old belief systems, old habits that we learned at a very young age that did not serve us. And so what is the key? Lindsay, you've talked a lot about radical acceptance and what it is and why it's great, but how do you move through that pain? Guys, it's not rocket science. It's not. A lot of people can just say love. If you can do that, love. But what is this? Let's break that down further. Mindfulness, being aware, practicing being aware in the present moment without judgment, without telling you past stories, seeing what's really going on, and then meeting the present moment with compassion, with kindness. So being in the present moment, meeting it with compassion. It doesn't matter if it's a thorn, or if it's just a bump in the road, or if it's a hard neighbor to get along with. Be aware of it, meet it with compassion instead of anger, and then be aware and add gratitude. Because when you go to gratitude, you're going to your prefrontal cortex and you're getting away from that caveman thinking, fast, habitual reactions to pain and suffering, and you're creating something new. Meet it with gratitude and then make a choice. Make a choice. Radical acceptance can help us to heal our relationships. When we can accept ourselves and others, we can let go the need to control and change them. The only person we all know that we can control and change is ourselves. And then when we learn how to work from the inside out, we become the light. And when we be the light, then people look over and they think, what is she doing over there? Or what is he doing over there? I want some of that joy. I want some of that passion. I want some of that love, right? So you can be the light. So other people, like, I love how they always say that if you are the candle, you can light someone else's candle and it does not take any of your light away. It just helps them light. That is true. Don't go over there and try to take your matches and light other people's candles. Light your candle. And when people are ready, they will see it. Show them radical acceptance. Show them mindfulness, compassion, and gratitude. All right, we're coming to our end. Radical acceptance is a journey. It's not a destination. Just like practicing infinite possibilities, right? Practicing infinite possibilities you don't do it one day and say you're done. You do it every day. It's a journey. Today, I'm going to accept today, no matter what happens, even when it's horrible. I still am going to accept it, and I'm going to work with it with mindfulness, compassion, gratitude, and love. I'm going to be the light in the darkness. Even when I see darkness, I'm going to accept the darkness and still practice being the light. This is great stuff, really is. So radical acceptance opens up and makes you realize the infinite possibilities, which is the whole part of practicing infinite possibilities. That's why I do the PIP Show. So anyway, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank everyone for their comments. I really appreciate it. If you want to get in touch with me, you can message me on Facebook or on Instagram, or you can go to centeredmoment.com, centeredmoment at Gmail if you want to send in some hearts. I really want to shout out to thank you to Debbie and Stacy and Connie, all my friends, Mamacita, who send me these wonderful things that I get to show. And Mamacita is my mother-in-law. So a kiss to my mom for her birthday. Lots of love to you all. Obviously, great thanks to New Thought Media Network, which is a nonprofit organization that lives on donations. So remember them when you're giving charitable giving. And I will see you all next week. And I love your feedback and I love your comments. And if there's more topics you want me to talk about, feel free to reach out and tell me. I love the input. So keep practicing your radical acceptance. And until next week, let's see if I can find my banners. I'll see you on the PIP Show. Bye, guys.